Today we're making goulash, but not the Hungarian way. We're going to make it the Austrian way, which is equal parts meat and onions. With the meat, you can use any cut you want as long as it's going to be good to be stewed down for a long time, because this is going to cook for at least 4 or 5 hours. So with the onions, traditionally you would use brown onions, but I am a big fan of red onions. I prefer them over brown pretty much in everything that I do. So to go along with the goulash, I'm going to be making Semmelknödel. I'm going to be doing one with bacon and one without bacon. So the beef, as you can see here, I've got a nice piece of beef from Marvihof. Now this has got a lot of silver skin on that I'm going to have to take off, but it's going to be fine because I'm going to be cubing these up into nice little chunks here. So yeah, we'll get started. Okay, as you can see, I've cut up my meat and I've diced up my onions. Now I'm just going to go in, start melting down some clarified butter, and then once that's melted down, we'll get the onions in. All right, butter's melted down enough. We're going to add the onions. All right, once you've got your onions in, you want to keep this on a medium or a medium to low heat, and you just want to cook these onions down. It's going to take about 20-25 minutes, and you just want to make sure that they don't start to burn. Okay, it's been about 25-30 minutes. Good to see my onions have cooked right down. Now I'm going to start adding my spices to this. Now, usually you add caraway seeds to this, but I don't have any, so I'm going to be using these fennel seeds. We'll give it a crack. So, I've just lightly crushed those seeds. So that's some fennel seeds, and I've got some myron. I've got a mixture here. I've got smoked paprika and I've got sweet paprika. So in that goes. Also, got some tomato paste. I'm going to go in with a good 2 tablespoons. And at this point, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. We'll adjust that at the end. Okay. So you just want to mix these in and toast them off just for a minute or so. So if you don't have all these herbs, it's not a big fuss. You could use all smoked paprika or just all sweet paprika. With the myron, you could sub it out for oregano. And as I said, with the fennel seed, usually I use caraway seeds, but I don't have any on hand. Or you could just omit them all completely. The only thing that's really necessary here would be the paprika. You have to add paprika to this dish. After about a minute and a half, you'll see it starting to stick to the bottom of the pot, and you want to create that because we won't be searing the meat off. I've got 200 mils of water here. I'm going to add about half of that just to deglaze, and then we'll see where we're at. As you can see, it's quite thick, so we're going to add the rest of the water. Just give it a little mix in, and also we're going to be adding the meat in at this stage. Now I haven't seared off the meat, and I think it's good that if the onions in this mixture here actually steam the meat cooked. So we'll just add the meat in, we'll get that all mixed in, make sure it's all nestled in there. I'm just going to add another 100 mils of water before we let it simmer. Then that goes. Once all the meat there is submerged and it's all mixed in, we'll just bring that up to a light simmer and we'll let it go for around 2.5 to 3 hours. But just come back and check on it every, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes just to make sure it has enough liquid. If it's looking a little bit dry and sticking, just add a little bit of water. It'll be fine. My goulash has been bubbling away for about 2.5 hours now, and it's ready. Now I know it's ready because when I get a piece of meat, the fork just breaks it apart. Also, before I forget, this is the time you want to taste it for seasoning. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt, mix that in. So once you get the seasoning how you want, you can do a couple of things now. You could serve that straight away, or you could wait, let it cool down, set it in the fridge, and this will be even better tomorrow. Okay, to make the bread dumplings, very simple. I've just sorted off 1 onion here, let it cool down. That goes in. And I've got some parsley, that goes in. I've got 1 egg lightly beaten, and it goes. And I've got some milk. So we'll tip that in, and then we're just going to mix it together. Also, at this stage, we'll add some salt. Don't forget to add some pepper. After you got it mixed together, and you give it a feel, I can still feel some hard bits in there. So I'm going to add a little bit more milk, add another 50 mils or so, and then we'll mix that in. That feels a lot better. So we're just going to pat it down, and we're just going to let this sit for about 15 minutes, just to let the milk soak completely into the bread. Alrighty, after your mixture's been sitting, I just put a bit of happy wrap over the top so it doesn't form a crust on top. I'm going to roll half of these into bowls now, and then with the other half of the mixture, I'm going to mix in this bacon. So the easiest way to do this is wet hands. Make sure your hands are wet and it'll make things much, much easier. So I don't like mine too big, my balls. So around this size, perfect for me. So I'll go through and I'll do half the mixture and then we'll come back. Alrighty. I've got about half the mixture rolled out, so I'm just going to break this up a little bit, and then in goes the bacon. Mix that through, and keep on rolling. All right, once you've got them all rolled out, we'll head to the stove and start cooking them. Okay, as you see, got a pot of water at the simmer. Now I'm just going to salt it, give it a second to dissolve, and then we'll put all these dumplings in. So you want to keep the water at a simmer, and it's going to take about 20 minutes for these to cook. So yeah, as I said, just keep an eye on your water. Make sure it's not like rapidly boiling. Just keep it at a nice simmer, and it'll take about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes of simmering away, they're ready to take out. Go ahead, take them out the water. Okay, favourite part of the day. It's time to eat. As I said before, if you left this and let it cool down and then put it in the fridge overnight, this gets even better the next day. It's so rich. It's like comfort food at its best. Now with the dumplings, it's so full of flavour. Can't get better than that.